We have a growing problem at Berkeley. It has nothing to do with our standing as an academic institution, nothing to do with our administration, nothing to do with our clubs. It doesn't even concern Donald Trump or Hillary Clinton. But the problem extends across the campus and has ingrained itself in our culture. In an age of political correctness and breaking down stereotypes, there is one group of students who need to be a part of this conversation. They are the student athletes of Cal. I wanted to find out what some of these stereotypes are. So I asked some students, and here's what they said.
Sometimes it's easy for the Berkeley stereotype to be they're less academically driven, perhaps, maybe less intelligent or prepared in general.
There are a lot of students in science and the humanities who are also doing amazing world-changing things and don't really get credit for it, while the athletes are just always in the spotlight.
I know there are a lot of students who want to use the RSF is basically our only option, and then I know there's 40 squat racks for football players.
They're generally not as involved in actually going to school, and a lot of people feel like they get a lot of concessions from professors.
Some bullshit.
Here's what student athletes think of the stereotypes that we give them.
It's the stupidest thing I've ever heard. Athletes are the hardest working people I know.
Whether people think we're given a lot of things, whether people just don't believe it, we're driven. We wouldn't be where we are today in this situation if we weren't driven, if we didn't work for something.
I think a lot of the students here that got in here for academics don't think that we're willing to work hard, when actually it's the exact opposite for a lot of us.
I mean, it takes a certain amount of discipline to be able to do well in school and in your sport, especially at Cal. So I think that just speaks to how good athletes are at knowing themselves.
Knowing themselves is right. Listen to the schedule they have every day.
Alarm goes off at 6. You roll out of bed and you throw on some sweats, and we get to the gym around 6:30, 6:45. We eat breakfast, and then we have practice from 8 to 12. So it's 2 hours on the court and then an hour weights. So 8 to 12 just straight, and then we quickly shower, and we eat lunch really fast, or don't even have time to eat lunch, and we run up to classes for the rest of the day.
The load on a student athlete is enormous. The amount of time that he or she has to spend in their sport working out, staying fit, and practicing, as well as travel and competing in competitions, is huge.
When season comes along, we're practicing every day of the week.
Monday, Wednesday, Friday have doubles, and that starts at 6 a.m. in the morning, and the second workout is at 1 in the afternoon.
Water polo practice in the fall, that usually ranges from 8 to 11, and then in the spring it's after I'm done with my classes.
Tuesday, Thursdays, we go in the morning from 8 to 11.
Usually that takes up about 3 hours of your time each day.
Their schedules are so packed. Why do we believe they're always out partying or doing something other than their academic work?
Kind of the media's fault for, how they portray athletes sometimes, especially in college, partying all the time.
So this is what students believe they are doing on a day-to-day basis.
$900 jeans, homie. All these girls be wrong. She let me see your peen, homie. She trying to cause a scene, but I'm in Paris with my team.
When really, it's more like this.
For me personally, it's rare that I go out more than once a week.
During the week, really never.
Almost once every weekend when it comes to the off season.
Depends, probably on average 1 to 2 nights a week.
What else is restricted by their schedule?
A bigger social network, I would have to say. The team is definitely a huge family, and every athlete's pretty lucky to be just invited into such a big family when they get here. But just other opportunities like internships, maybe having to miss out on some extracurricular activities, because there are plenty here at Berkeley. But it's all worth it if you like what you do.
You sacrifice a lot of friends, a lot of time with family, because you're always with your team, even though that's your family too. You do sacrifice with your biological family a lot of time. I know I did. And you sacrifice like classes, your school, your education. Like there's times where you can't be there, and there's times where you have to take the fall for it, and it's not always the best. It's not always a good feeling when you have to take the fall for missing a test and getting a 0, or having to go in later on your own time, but like knowing the professor's upset with you about it. Like it's never comforting to know that other people are upset with you because of your sport.
So why do they keep doing their sport if it negatively affects their education?
I wouldn't be playing water polo if I didn't love it, and I really do. I've been playing water polo since I was 9 years old, and I really find that water polo is part of my identity. Although I might not be playing water polo in 10 years, it's gonna form me into the person that I will be and the person that I am today.
I keep on swimming because it's what I'm good at, it's what I like to do. It gives me a sense of accomplishment, coming here early in the morning, really tired, not always in the best mood, but knowing that I'm bettering myself in more than just the classroom.
I always loved rugby. Even before I knew what rugby was, I loved rugby, which is a funny thing to say, but it's really true. The second I started playing the sport, I knew that I had found the end-all be-all of sport. Just, this was the best it could get. It's such an elegant, beautiful game, and you don't get into rugby for the money.
I love it. It's my social group. It's my form of fitness. It's like a huge part of my life here at Berkeley, and so I would struggle to give it up.
It would not be me. It would not be Savannah Rennie without volleyball, and I would not be the same person. And that's just never a good combination to live on a life that you didn't have for yourself. So I was willing to do just about anything to continue to play for Cal, continue to be in the situation I am, and the transplant was the only answer.
If I had to pick one person to be a poster child for athletics, it would be Savannah Rennie. Listen to her story.
I had a liver transplant. It was congenital hepatic fibrosis with portal hypertension, and that's a genetic disease that I didn't know I had until I was 18, 19 years old, which is very rare. It's not supposed to happen. Ever wanted to play volleyball again, if I ever wanted to be healthy, because I was constantly in and out of the hospital every month that I needed a liver transplant. And so to do that, I had to go to Indiana. I had to medically withdraw from school, which I wasn't okay with personally. I was very upset about it, and had to move to Indiana for 5 months with my mom to get this liver transplant. Got it in 2 months. Now I'm back here 2 months later after the transplant, and now I'm back on the volleyball court and ready to rock and roll, but it's been a whirlwind of hospital visits, urgent care visits, being septic, which is fatal. I remember games vividly where I'm sitting on the bench with 105 fever, septic, just praying that I'm okay to get through the game and then go to urgent care that night. And the transplant was the only answer. So I did it, and I'm better than ever, so it was worth it.
Her story is one of sacrifice and determination. But these lessons won't help her get a job, will it?
There are a lot of characteristics that student athletes develop on the field through their middle school and high school years and their first 2 years at Cal that make them excellent students at Haas. And it's these characteristics on the field that they bring into the classroom that make them exceptional students that go on to make exceptional leaders in the business community. Student athletes have a lot of skills that make them attractive to Haas. And if you went down the 4 defining principles at Haas, you could almost put a student athlete in every one of them. So the 4 defining principles are lifelong learners. If you look at student athletes, they're coached and learn every day. Question the status quo. When you look at every athlete in every sport, everybody does it a different way. Not everybody goes to the plate and swings the bat the same way. Not every pitcher has the same arm slot. Not every quarterback drops back. And so they're used to questioning the status quo, looking at different business problems in the same way that you look at athletic issues. They have confidence without attitude. I've seen a first round draft choice in the NFL throw an interception and come back the next day and have confidence. Lastly, the fourth defining principle, beyond yourself. Today I was watching the Olympic swim trials, and we had a student at Zed Hostel swam their best time. We just had an NBA player drafted number 3 in the draft. Student athletes are constantly on the practice field in competition, trying to perform beyond themselves. We found that it moves over from the playing field into the classroom.
It's interesting. I always like to focus on sort of the end point. When you look at my experience with employers in the marketplace, particularly those employers who see Berkeley students as raw talent or folks who will be entering the workforce, the stereotypes of the generation, if you will, they sort of are in opposition to that, meaning that because of their involvement in athletics, their ability to manage time, to work with authority, to work hard, to overcome obstacles, and a whole host of other attributes or qualities that are important, particularly in starting your career, they have in spades. So many employers are interested in those qualities, obviously, as they're building their workforce.
So being an athlete actually puts me ahead. What does it take to become one?
Dealing with staying up late at night till 2 in the morning trying to finish this assignment or study for this test, and then getting up early for morning practice and then taking that test, being resilient and making sure that you don't give up even when the outcome isn't exactly what you want it to be is pretty key.
You know, you got to be able to have a, not so great workout, maybe get yelled at a little bit, and kind of be able to pick yourself up just like that and get to class, get to an exam. So yeah, definitely being resilient.
You have to be very responsible, and very responsible with your time, very responsible with your daily activities, your daily schedule, your school, your bills, your housing, your everything that involves your coaches. You have to be responsible with them because you need to abide by what they want. You need to go to their schedule as well. You have to be conscientious of everybody's time. It's not just about you. It's not just about where you need to be. It's about where your team needs to be. It's about where your coaches need to be. So, and your teachers, your professors, depending on what they need, you need to be there for them.
Every day, student athletes fight against the stereotypes that keep holding them down. But what can we do as a community to help in this fight?
When they're there, I hope all faculty members treat student athletes just like they would treat other students. We have to be cognizant of the busy lives that all of our students have today, and athletes are just one. Band members, debate competitors, business case competition competitors, and even religious affiliations cause students to miss time in my class or have me be accommodating to them. And it's things that I do day in and day out. And I hope all faculty members treat all students the same, regardless of their student athlete or another active participant on campus.
I think that expecting athletes to really drastically improve their image is a bit unrealistic, and I think that some people who believe a lot of the stereotypes about athletes really need to see just how much time athletes sacrifice every day to do what they want to do and to represent our school. Of course, the image is not perfect, but also, athletes are not superhuman by any means, and expecting them to, just be everywhere at once and do great at all times is not entirely realistic.
Just keep competing at the level that you feel is necessary, and honestly, just keep grinding at the same level that you're grinding on the field or in the swimming pool, because I honestly have so much respect for anyone who can wake up at 5 o'clock in the morning and get in a freezing cold pool where I literally will sleep until 10 and just study.
Because it just seems like so high pressure with how much practice you have to do, and how much time you also just have to miss from class. I think I've been in classes with some athletes here and there, and just when they talk about their schedule, I'm just kind of horrified. I know it's their it's what they love to do, maybe their livelihood, it's their life, but I just can't imagine doing that kind of schedule. It just seems brutal.
We have seen them go through incredible obstacles, dedicate hours upon hours to their sport, and still manage to keep up with their schoolwork. Student athletes might not be lazy, stupid, or indifferent to their success, as many of us believe. student athletes actually are.
Competitive.
Ideal business people.
Disciplined.
Dedicated.
Juggler.
Hardworking.
Definitely driven.